What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. We all have a physiological limit of how much we can consume. Beyond a certain point of what is necessary for survival, all excess consumption is no longer filling the same kind of hunger that you imagine. And it might be worth diving into what kind of hunger that might be, but I'll leave that for another episode. There are obvious economic disparities in the world. And it's really easy to notice a disparity and chalk it off to an injustice or call it unfair. But the simple explanations are usually the best. Occam's razor. We don't need to stretch into fancy ideas of why such disparities exist. A lot of all differences in outcomes and outputs just come down simply to differences in inputs. Even if other variables exist, when doing an investigation, it would be best to start from the most first principles, basic foundational parts to understanding the reasoning behind something, which, if you dive into this, means people have more or less because people do more or less. While we can add in other variables like their gender or racial background as considerations, it would be disingenuous to chalk off the reasons for disparities to only those variables without first acknowledging the individual input of the person and their earned rewards and merits. So then I only go back to being confused in trying to make sense of this with my original point. Trying to understand why disparities even exist. What is this hunger that's being fed? Especially if all of us have a consumption limit. If we all can't really eat for more than one person, can't consume for more than one person, we can't sleep in more than one room at a time, we can't drive more than one car at a time, we cannot wear more than one outfit at a time. And while there can be a case made for the desire of options, it doesn't change the physical limit imposed on all of us with only one body. So the only next natural question to ask yourself is, why do such disparities still exist? What makes one person stop soon after their stomachs are full and their bills are satisfied and they have just enough clothes and just enough socks and just enough of everything, while another person works even with having the abundance of all of those things still until their dying day? It's not like the extra accumulation of wealth or materials by the second person will result in them being able to consume anymore. So then why do it? Maybe it comes down to taking responsibility for the consumption limits of other people around you. So one stomachs turn to two, turn to five, and you feed and clothe and nourish your family. And maybe then it goes even further as you take on the responsibility for the consumption or the filling of stomachs of an expanding number of people. Is that what makes one person feel the need to succeed while another is just satisfied with eating their 2 meals a day? I ask myself this question a lot because I can not only survive, but grow, have energy, exercise, feel healthy with only 1 meal a day. And I have at times been down to 2 or 3 meals a week with some sporadic protein shakes on other days. So forget limit, because I'm not stuffing my face, so I'm not hitting a limit, but the consumption requirement, the baseline for me, is so low that if I was just to worry about how much it is that I need to survive, then I wouldn't have the need to do much of anything in my life. Half the reason people work is just to be able to feed themselves and have nice things and wear nice clothes and have nice cars. And I don't have a desire for any of these things. My cars are old and paid off. I love them and won't get rid of them. I have plenty of clothes and still don't even put on a shirt on most days. And I don't need to eat or require much. So, what is the point of working for me? Why do you even work if you don't have a joy in eating or consuming? It's a reasonable question to ask. And the only reasonable, acceptable answer I have come back with is that I cannot work for just the consumption of myself. And if I actually take the responsibility for someone else, then my life has to be set up for the consumption requirements and the pushing of limits for them, not the low baseline that I have created for myself. And this is what keeps people sane: the extending of meaning of one's life through the connection of taking responsibility for another life. Without it, we are on an island and can easily fade away without a trace. And that's not what life is about. It's not about your own consumption. It's not about feeding your stomach. It's about feeding souls, yours and every other one in your path. If you can't see past yourself, your life is going to remain small. Even if you're in crisis and all that matters is yourself right now, Joey says, when you face with it all and your back's against the wall, you be listening, but all you hear about is yourself. So I get it. But still, you have to be looking up and ahead. The second you fool yourself and think, just getting yourself back to safety, just getting yourself back to security, just getting yourself to satiety, just getting to your own satisfaction. Just when you fool yourself to think that all this is enough, you set a governor on your speed, a limit to your expansion, because it won't take much to feed you. But if you just stop there, how many will be left starving? There's only a limit to you. There's no limit when you go beyond you. I love you, family. Stay true always. I see you on the next show.